You're listening to the Attempt Adventure Podcast, a podcast all about finding adventure every day and making life more interesting. From Bangkok, Thailand, I'm Michael Desrosiers, joined as always by my co-host,
James Barrett from Boulder, Colorado.
We're back, baby, and I think that we're going to be back till the end of the year.
We are back.
And we are back in a fairly regular way, I think.
Yeah, we got our motivation back. We got our mojo back, as Austin Powers would say.
Yeah.
The great
philosopher
Austin Powers. Let me crack open my beverage.
Oh man, what are you drinking?
True Brewing Company. It's called Solid Hex. It's a mixed culture sour ale with watermelon. Smells pretty good. That's good. It is sour.
Nice. Well, I wish I could try it. I've just got a can of coffee. Black coffee. Well, James, how are you doing this week?
Doing good. Yeah. It's fall. Winter's right around the corner. I do love winter. I work at a ski resort, so I would assume that I love winter. If you don't, it's a miserable place to be. Yesterday was the first really wintry day we had. Snowing and blowing and wind chill of 4 degrees.
Right, well, it's getting into winter here, which is a little bit different than there, of course. But I was at IKEA the other day, and it was really weird. I didn't expect it. I was really hit with the Christmas spirit, because they had all their decorations up, and all their living rooms looked really cozy, And then they had their Christmas menu at the IKEA restaurant, and they were serving, this Swedish malt drink, and it tasted really Christmassy. And you know what? I'm just going to go with it this year. I usually have a rule that I don't get for Black Friday, but I'm just going for it this year. We all need a little bit of extra cheer. I've already got my tiny tree up.
I love that tiny tree.
Got my Christmas music playing. I'm just going to go for it because I feel like it's been a weird year. In a lot of ways, it's been a very good year. In a lot of ways, it's been a very strange year. And
it's been a weirdly good, bad, weird.
Yeah.
Is 2021 better than 2020?
That's the thing. I don't know.
Hard to say. It's sort of about the same, honestly.
Personally, I've had some really good things happen in my life this year. I've also had some really stressful things happen in my life, and it's been odd. So I'm just going to go with the Christmas spirit. I'm embracing it. And you know what? If I have my tree up for a full quarter of the year, from November until the end of January, then so be it.
That's great. I'm sort of the same way. I saw the Christmas stuff in Walmart the other day, and I was like, that's nice. I like it.
It usually annoys me to see it this early. This year it just didn't. It just didn't.
I think I agree with you with the, sort of everybody needs a little bit of something.
Yeah.
It's still a very stressful, strange time. And I think we're actually going to go get a real tree this year.
Are you? Nice.
We'll be home for Christmas, but only for a few days. Same with Thanksgiving, so we're going to decorate.
Well, James, did you do anything new or adventurous this week?
I got to ride a snowmobile. That was fun.
That's fun. I've never ridden a snowmobile.
Me neither. I didn't drive it, but I rode on it, and that was a lot of fun. So that was a lot of fun. So that's really the newest thing I did this week.
That's really cool. Was that part of your job?
Kind of. More just, it was there, and I was like, can I have a ride over to like this other building? And they were like, sure. And I was like, yes.
That's cool. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a ski patrol guy, and he had parked, and I had to go to the building way on the other side of the hill, and it was, again, 4 degrees, and
oh, yeah.
I didn't want to walk. And so I was like, hey, where are you headed? He was like, I'm close by where I was going. And I was like, can I have a ride? He's like, yeah. It's a lot of fun. And now I want to drive one. What about you? Did you do anything new or exciting?
I did. I went to a Diwali thing the other day, which is going to kind of date when we're doing this podcast recording, but that's all right. Yeah, it was in a shopping mall. It was called the Great Indian Diwali Festival 2021, and it was really cool. They had all sorts. It was kind of a big festival market set up, and pretty much every Indian restaurant in Bangkok had a stall. It was a big food festival. It was so fun.
Oh, that's amazing.
They all set up hundreds of these food stalls, and I just went and I wandered around. I tried a bunch of great food. I tried some really good prawn biryani and some samosas and some masala tea. Yeah, there's dancing and live music, and everyone was wearing their saris, and it was just really cool. It was a lot of fun.
I know very little about Indian culture.
Yeah.
Very little.
Yeah, me too.
There's a really good Indian place 500 feet away from my apartment.
Nice.
Now I'm like, when do they close?
Do you want to shout them out? What's the name of the restaurant?
It is Curry, the letter N, Kebab.
Curry Inn Kebab.
They're inexpensive. They're open until 9:30, so we'll see.
Are you in the mood for some Indian now?
I am. I already ate dinner, though, so... But, some samosas would be good.
You've already had one, but what about second dinner?
Hey, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you'll eat dinner, and then you go out for drinks or something, and then you're like,
I live like a hobbit more than I would like to admit. They had a good life. Hobbits had a good thing going for them.
They did.
They were a judgmental people, though.
They were very xenophobic, weren't they?
They were, yeah.
And all the female hobbits were named Daffodil and Daisy and things like that, and all the male hobbits were named Chungus and Dungus.
And everybody mistrusted Bilbo because he took a vacation one time.
Oh yeah, and he made friends with dwarves, which were, someone tell me the difference between dwarves and hobbits. Beards and, I guess, craftsmanship. We could probably get on a very long tangent on the Lord of the Rings, and I love that. I love it so much. But anyway, that's not what today's episode about. Episode, we did miss a holiday episode, which is unfortunate. We missed our Halloween episode, which I really like our Halloween episodes.
Me too. We've been doing them for this would have been our third year doing it, and
and we just missed it.
Yeah.
So we're just going to have a short little chat about some of the spooky things that have happened to us, and then we'll move on to the next subject. This will kind of be this is going to be a half and half kind of episode.
Yeah.
Or third and third.
I actually did something for Halloween, specifically for our podcast.
Did you?
I did.
Awesome.
There's a very famous Thai ghost story, and if you want to hear it, ladies and gentlemen, I think I told it in our Ear Goggles podcast last year on Halloween, about a woman named Maynak who, 100 years ago, her husband was off at war, and she died in childbirth, but when he came home, he was none the wiser, and she was just there with the kid. She was a ghost, and eventually he figured out that she was a ghost, and once he discovered that she became quite angry and quite vengeful, and he had to run to this nearby temple and get the monk to convince her to depart to the next life, essentially. You can listen to the episode last year. So actually, I went all the way out to that temple. It's kind of on the outskirts of town, way away from where I live. They have a shrine to her, the Maynak Shrine, where people will go and pray for good luck or for love or for fertility or whatever. It was quite interesting. It was not really very spooky. It was a beautiful sunny day, but it was interesting to see it. And so I went out there to do a little bit of research, and I'll put the pictures on our website, attemptadventure.com. So I did do that for Halloween, specifically for our podcast. What about you? Did you do anything fun for Halloween?
I did not do anything for Halloween. I am upset about that, but I worked. I mean, but I have had some very spooky experiences in my life that I would like to share a little bit. The first spooky sort of story is when I was at Boy Scout camp. Spooky things happen in Boy Scout camps. I don't know why, but they really do. We were up in the mountains, and, normally the woods don't scare me.
Yeah.
The woods are noisy, there's weird things going on all the time. But as long as you remember that very little in those woods will actually wants anything to do with you, it's okay. But that doesn't keep it from being really creepy sometimes. And this happened several nights in a row. I was laying in my tent, and then there was just this scream from sort of where our campfire was. Just this horrible, horrible scream, and it went on for about a minute or so, and then it stopped. And of course, no one's leaving the tent. Nobody. Everyone's like, nope, not touching that one.
Right.
And so eventually you forget about it and you go back to sleep. So that was one night, and it happened again the next night. And we sort of were talking amongst ourselves, and we decided that if it happened again, we were just going to all sort of just burst out of the tent and see what happened.
It's bold.
And so again, the next night it did happen, and we gathered up our courage and we just sort of opened the tent really quick, and there was nothing there. Nothing. Of course, that's scarier than anything. It's when there's nothing there. And
then your imagination gets to run wild.
Oh, yeah. And we know that it's most likely a fox.
Yeah.
A female fox, they make horrible, horrible sounds. It could have been a fox or a bobcat, something like that. They make horrible sounds, even deer. But when we opened the tent, there's nothing there. We didn't sleep at all. I mean, oh man. Then the next day we looked around, couldn't find really anything. And it didn't happen again one time we were there. When you can't find anything, who knows? And I don't think I would go back there again.
Right.
It's that awful, primal fear. As humans, we suppress the monkey side of our brain pretty good.
Yeah.
But when something like that happens, that just switches on. And you get your primal monkey brain going, and it wants nothing to do with anything. The story is probably not nearly as scary as it was. Well,
being there, I'm sure, was...
Oh, man. Have you heard, a fox scream?
I have. I mean, not in real life.
It sounds like someone being murdered. It's awful. Same with mountain lions. Mountain lions make some of the worst sounds I've ever heard.
I mean, if it was a mountain lion, that's just as scary.
I know, that's worse almost. I'd rather be a ghost. Or Goat Man or something. I don't know. You want to tell one? We could switch off for a few times.
Yeah, I do. Actually, because as you were talking, I actually remembered that way months ago when I recorded the episode with my brother, we got off topic and I talked to him about an event that happened to us, both of us together. And I'm going to actually splice that conversation in here. It's maybe 3 or 4 minute conversation of us talking about it. But I will tell my side of the story first, and then I'll let him tell what he remembers. So awesome. He and I had gone camping when I was in college. He was in middle school. He's 7 years younger than I am. And it was great. We were having a good time. We were sitting out by the fire. It was a little bit chilly. And we're getting ready to go to bed. And I heard these footsteps, these kind of long, shuffling footsteps. It didn't sound like an animal walking in the woods, but it sounded like someone dragging their feet through fallen leaves. And instantly, all of the hairs on my neck stood up. It was really spooky because it's primal. You don't really... Humans,
yeah, you can't control it at all.
You can't control that at all. And so I turned on my flashlight and looked in the woods. I couldn't see more than past the tree line at all. But as soon as I turned the light on, whatever it was stopped. And again, it was most likely an animal, but it sounded so bipedal that I really was on the verge of panicking. But my brother was there, and he was little, and I didn't want to scare him, so I just kind of got us off to bed and to the tent, and I barely slept that night at all. And the next morning I went out there, and I kind of walked back behind our campsite into the woods, just a couple yards, Like it looked like somebody had been shuffling their feet or dragging their feet through these leaves, like fallen leaves. It just didn't look like an animal, and it freaked me out so much. It went on for a long time. I don't know if somebody was back there lurking in the woods. I don't know if it was an animal. I never talked to him about it until a couple months ago. But here you can hear his take on the story here. This is actually the first time that he and I have ever talked about this because I never brought it up to him because I didn't want to scare him.
But it really reminded me of that time that you and I went camping in the winter and we heard those creepy footsteps in the night.
You and I have never talked about that, have we?
I remember you tried to play it cool. I mean, I don't know how old I was, 15 or something.
I was in college, so you were 7 years younger than me, whatever that was.
Yes, I was pretty young, 12, 13, yeah.
So let's tell the story, because this is a bit off topic, but we can get back to your trip. Let's talk about this story, because it's a great story. So tell me from your perspective what you remember from that night. So back in college, I had picked Kyle up for a weekend, and we went camping, just a bros trip to go camping.
Yeah. I remember that it was really cold, that there was nobody there but us. It was January. There was nobody there but us. I mean, there was a few people, but they were way far away. There were all these empty camp plots.
We thought we were doing a great job by kind of getting away from everybody. We were completely isolated.
Yeah, but it was really cold, and the day was very fun though. We just hung out by the fire, drank a lot of coffee. I remember it was like the first time I had instant coffee, and we drank like the Swiss Miss or whatever it's called.
In those little square tins.
That's right. And at night though, it got really cold and dark, so we just went to bed and went in the tent. And I guess we're talking a lot because it's too early to sleep. And we hear footsteps.
See, I don't think we were even in the tent. I think we were still sitting by the fire when we suddenly heard this noise from the woods, like footsteps. And I think I decided, okay, let's go to bed, because I think I peered into there with a flashlight and I saw nothing. If you remember, they weren't just regular footsteps, and it just sounded like somebody was shuffling through the fallen leaves. Is that what you remember too?
It's been a long time, and maybe you heard something I didn't, and you were trying to protect me from it since I was quite young. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was a human or an animal or something else. But
well, okay, here's the part that I've never told you. I got my flashlight and I looked back there. I had goosebumps all over because I was like, what if I see someone back there? Like, what am I going to do? That's horrifying.
Oh, God.
Saw nobody. We just went to bed. We got in the tent, and obviously we weren't murdered because we're talking here today. The next morning, I went back there and I looked, and I saw footprints, and they were not footprints of a deer. It looked like somebody had been shuffling. I saw 2 tracks of somebody's feet dragging their feet through the undergrowth.
What if it was just a Boy Scout who was
Probably was, but it's still creepy.
That is weird. And I feel like we would hear it and then we would talk and it would stop.
And then it would stop. Yeah. And when we shined the flashlight back there, it stopped. When we were actually looking for whoever or whatever was back there, it stopped.
Yeah, thank God we did not get murdered.
That's so funny. I'm glad you brought that up because you and I had never talked about that again. That's really, really funny. But you also didn't get murdered at the Sea of Galilee, which is nice.
It's always a pleasant thing, yes.
To this day, I can't imagine what it could have been. Hopefully an animal.
Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about that weird primal reaction that humans have. Because humans do not have much instinct.
No. We're terrible at surviving.
We do not have much instinct left. It's why we have such long childhoods. That's why everything else, we have to learn everything. But fear and that fight or flight response is such a crazy feeling. And what people also don't talk about is there's fight, there's flight, but there's also freeze. Humans have the same fear response as a rabbit and a deer. First move is to freeze completely. Mm-hmm. And that's when fight or flight comes in. Most people, I think, I don't know. Have you ever been in a situation where you've had to test that response?
Not genuinely, no, I haven't.
No, me neither. And I've gotten to the freeze response.
Sure. Yeah, that's when you hear something in the woods.
Yeah, and you freeze.
That was me with my flashlight.
You almost don't want to turn your flashlight on.
No, I was like, what if I see something?
That's worse.
What if there's a guy back there? What do I actually do? And I just turn my flashlight on and he's just staring at me. I don't know. I saw nothing. But it was like, I even have goosebumps just like thinking about that moment right now. It freaked me out so much.
Humans view light as safety, but electric light does not have near the same, like, oh, I'm going to go turn the lantern on, I'm scared. Like, what's that going to do?
Right. Especially if it's like a fluorescent bulb. Like, that doesn't feel good at all.
Feels worse. Yeah, if it's like a white LED lantern, it feels worse.
Yeah, it does.
You're like, this is awful.
Well, 'cause it looks like the stills from the Blair Witch Project, right? Like the woods lit up by like a really cheap LED. It's terrible.
Oh yeah, it's so much worse. I've seen video of someone whose flashlight died and they had a video camera, like an infrared camera.
Oh yeah.
And they were having to find their way with the infrared.
Terrible.
And I'm like, I'm out. Like,
yeah.
I might as well just die at that point because I'm going to like dig a hole and like cover myself in dirt because that sounds better.
Like the first night of Minecraft.
Oh God, yes. Which is a terrifying night, by the way.
Yeah. It's surprisingly kind of a scary game.
It really can be. You dig a hole into a cliff and you sort of just
wall yourself up
for daylight,
like the cask of Amontillado, and you would just wait till morning.
That's kind of what humans do.
Yeah, and there's something,
kind of do.
There's something too. Humans can tell, like, if somebody is watching them. Humans can tell when they're on them. I think there's a lot of things that we maybe don't understand yet about the human mind. And perception is one of those things. I think there's so much that we can perceive that we are not aware of as well. So if you're in the woods and something is watching you, you know it, even if you can't see it. I don't understand how that is. I don't know, but...
Yeah, you can tell typically if you're in a situation that is bad, you can typically get a feeling. You're like, I shouldn't be here right now. Like, it's a weird...
I guess you're perceiving micro changes in people's behaviors, or you are perceiving things, but you're just... Your conscious brain can't process it.
I want more research into the unconscious brain. It's really hard to study, but it's things like that. It's things like, the reflexes that we have, or how can you perceive things... that, because you can tell when someone's like you said, you can tell when someone's watching you without ever seeing them. Anyway, what do you got next?
Well, I was going to ask, have you ever had any scary moments or spooky moments while traveling on any of your travels, besides something out in the woods, but just like when you've been abroad or even just on the road? I know we didn't prepare for this.
I got a couple. Okay, I was at a family reunion for my wife's step family, and we were staying at one of their houses, just this old house, which is already creepy. I don't like old houses. So the day goes great. There's a barbecue, we're hanging out, everything. Then it's time to go to sleep, and we go into the room that they're like, oh, you can sleep in this room. And we go in there, and there's one air mattress in the middle of the room. And each wall has it's one of those rooms where you got crosses all around. You know what I'm talking about? And then on one wall, there was a picture of Michael the Archangel.
Okay.
One, they're Catholic, so I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Creepy when you know what Michael the Archangel is used for.
Vanquishing
Satan.
To
keep... yeah, and evil spirits and things like that.
Right.
But so we're in there. I'm like, oh, that's a little creepy, but whatever. So we lay down to go to bed, and there's a knock at the door, just like a knock, knock, knock.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, I'm not answering that. We're going to sleep. It happens again. We're like, okay, fine, whatever. We open the door, nothing. We're like, okay, could be the wind, could be a creaky house, who knows? Close the door and try to get back to sleep again. Same thing. Knock, knock, knock. Open the door again, nothing.
Yeah.
Now it's starting to get a little, I don't like it anymore.
Right. It's definitely not someone from the family that, forgot to tell you something.
Yes. So, at this point, we turn the light on. Because, light. Ghosts can't come into a room that's lit. That's crazy. We're laying down. I'm like, all right, whatever. Just Just got to get through the night. Then, knock, knock, knock. Then it comes back louder. Knock, knock, knock. And at this point, I'm done. Like, I'm white. I am not go hunting ghosts white. I won't do it. There are certain things I don't mess with. And the supernatural is one of them, simply because I don't know. I'll go skiing and scuba diving white, not let's explore this abandoned asylum white. They're very different. And so, at this point, we call another one of our relatives, like, hey, can we come stay at your house? And as we're packing up to go, we had told her sister, and she had talked to us and gone back up to where she was sleeping. And then we were packing up our stuff, and then knock, knock, knock. And we were like, okay, it's her sister. Open the door. Nothing. And we went and waited outside after that. We're like, nope. We asked about it. And we're like, was anyone walking around? Was anybody doing anything? They're like, no. But it's one of those things where I have zero explanation. Zero. If it happened once, you write it off. It happens a couple times, you're like, it's weird, but it could still be house creaking, could be anything. When it happens, and I'm talking like, it wasn't, and it was the same every time.
Yeah.
Just the 3 knocks, just knock, knock, knock. Like you would hit the door with your knuckle. But all I know is I don't want nothing to do with it, that or the house, and I told her, I was like, I will never go back there, ever. Just in case. I'll hang out outside. I will not.
Bring your tent. Sleep outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's better.
Yeah.
I'd rather be alone in the woods. Because at least in the woods, I'm like, all right, well, if I die, I'm in the woods. What do I expect? Like hopefully some like mountain lion kind of good meal or something. But like I can accept that logically.
Right.
Like if I'm camping and a bear gets me, then, well, look at that. A bear got me.
But if you're like in a relative's house and a ghost gets you.
Yeah, what am I going to do? No. If a bear gets me, I'm at the very least, if I make it out, I'm like, okay, well, it's a bear. Like,
right.
I can't do it. What?
If you survive a ghost attack, your entire like perception of the universe is shattered.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you do with that?
And what, you can't get away from them. If you're terrified of bears, just don't go where bears live.
Right.
You know, like go live in a skyscraper in Manhattan. There's never been a bear there. And if I don't make it out, know that in the end, I knew what got me.
Yeah, right.
No, well, it was a bear. If a ghost gets me, what am I going to do? If I die, if I make it out again, like my entire perception of everything is completely shattered. I'm never going to be sane again. I would much rather get eaten by a bear or a mountain lion. You can't fight a ghost. Like, what do I do? Like, I guess I should watch Ghost Hunters and see what they do.
I wouldn't go hunting ghosts. Like, what are you going to do if you find one? Seriously, like...
Yeah, if you...
like, they never find one. But what if they did?
They've never found... Yeah. There's entire shows dedicated to that, to hunting ghosts. But again, yeah, if they found one, what do you do at that point?
Yeah.
There was one I watched, because some of those shows are arguably entertaining.
Oh,
I do enjoy them.
Oh, I love the BuzzFeed ones. The BuzzFeed Unsolved Ghost Hunting.
Oh, they're so good. They're so good. But there was one where they went into this asylum, and of course, they always split up.
Oh, yeah.
And there's one guy, and he's down like in the old morgue.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to get into one of the morgue cabinets.
Those things? Yeah. Oh, God, no.
And he got in it, and he like closed himself in it. And I'm like, you are...
I wouldn't do that at a regular hospital, much less an abandoned
No! I wouldn't do that just in general. Like, and this is one of those old morgues that has like the big crematorium and everything else. And I'm like, that's the... Who did you piss off to the director be like, all right, you're the one spending the night in the morgue?
Yeah.
This turned into a weird deep discussion about the human fear.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween. We're going to talk about the human's fear response.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a little late for Halloween, but if you do have a spooky story, write in anyway. A scary story of your travels. It doesn't have to be paranormal. It could just be something scary that's happened to you while you were on an adventure. But write in. We would love to hear it, and we'll definitely talk about it. hello@attemptadventure.com. Subject line, spooky or scary or story or whatever you want to. Doesn't matter. We'll read them all.
We will. I don't like horror movies
No.
at all.
No.
But I like reading like spooky stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe it's because I don't have to see it. I don't know. My wife loves them. And I can't. And it's not necessarily because they're inherently like scary. It's just, I don't know.
Well, it's like some people really love roller coasters because they get that adrenaline. Some people don't like it for the same reason. Like, it's just not fun for them.
See, I like adrenaline rush.
Yeah, but it's not. But that's not. I'm comparing it. Not saying it's from the adrenaline. Some people like the fear that they get from a horror movie. Some people don't enjoy it. Personally, I don't either. I don't enjoy it. I don't like being spooked.
I don't enjoy the feeling of fear at
No,
all.
no.
But I guess, I mean, I think what the thing is probably because I've been to a couple haunted houses that I did enjoy.
Mm-hmm. But haunted houses are safe. Ultimately, you know they're
like
safe.
I know that it's safe.
You're not going to. It's meant to be something that you can enjoy, but you know that it's a controlled environment still.
And it is more an adrenaline thing than a fear thing at haunted houses. It's more and I like adrenaline.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't get that from horror movies. I don't get any of that. I don't know. Interesting. Anyway, yeah, please send us your spooky stories. We will read them and enjoy them. And if there's a really good one, we'll still read it because
every day is Halloween. It's Halloween somewhere.
I don't think that's how it works. Except in Halloween Town. What are your thoughts on... We can talk about this because it's both a Halloween and a Christmas movie. What are your thoughts on Nightmare Before Christmas?
You know, it has such a big cult following. I think it's a fine movie. Some people are crazy about it. Some people are just obsessed with it. I don't get it. I think it's a fine movie. It's an all right movie.
I enjoy it because I think Tim Burton is very good with the like claymation things. I don't get the obsession. It's fine. Like,
I thought Corpse Bride was better.
Corpse Bride's way better than Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
It's got a better story. Everything. Alrighty. And so we talked a little bit about outside and camping and things like that. And that sort of transitions us directly into our second topic of the day, which is camping in Thailand.
Well, but before we get into that, James, also on the topic of camping, we never talked about our August-September challenge that we issued either, which was to go camping. And I know, guys, listeners, we are so behind on everything. We're trying our best to get caught up. We need a producer. If anyone wants to be a producer, an unpaid intern.
That was about to be like for free.
No, but seriously, let's talk about that real quick, and then we can talk about camping in Thailand. What did you do for your monthly challenge? How did you enjoy camping?
I set up my little one-person tent.
Good, yeah.
In my living room.
Did you? Okay, cool.
I could not get away. I kept planning, and I could not make it happen. And, call it cheating, but...
It's not cheating. Actually, the original prompt was to go camping in your living room. That was actually what the prompt was.
And that is what I did. Was it comfortable? Is camping ever?
Not really, but you enjoy it.
It's the one time you, don't look forward to going to bed. Anyway, so that is what I did. What did you do?
I went camping a couple times. I spent a couple nights out in the woods when I was back home in the U.S. I did one night at Dinosaur Valley State Park. Did one night at Enchanted Rock State Natural Area, and I did one night at Guadalupe River State Park. They were all great. Really fun. Did a lot of great cooking outside. I did some of the recipes that we talked about in our camp cooking episode. I made trail burgers. I made those muffins in the oranges that you recommended.
Were they good?
They were really good. Yeah, it worked perfectly.
Oh, good.
It was great.
Did you have cobbler?
I didn't because it was just me and my wife. And she doesn't eat all that much. And James, if you and I couldn't eat a whole cobbler between the two of us, there's no way that my wife and I would be able to eat a cobbler.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I haven't been real camping in a long time. I miss it. But you've been camping in Thailand
Twice.
several times. And I'm intrigued by it because I don't think of that camping as like a big thing elsewhere.
Well, it became a lot bigger during COVID, and that's kind of how I got back into it. The first time we went camping was last October, 2020, and it was kind of a very last-minute thing. We were planning a trip down to this town, kind of near the beach, and my wife just texted me the day before, and she was like, hey, do you want to go camping? And I was like, fine, yeah, that'd be awesome. So I just ran to the Big C, which is kind of our Walmart. I bought the cheapest tent. I just bought the cheapest, I spent like $30 and just got the cheapo version of everything. And we went out, and it was great, and then it rained on us. The tent wasn't very good. So that night, as we were hunkering down, trying to stay dry, we got online and we started buying camping gear online. And so the second time we went camping last Christmas was really nice. We had really good gear by that point. And now we've got our good camping gear and we can go.
Awesome.
But it's becoming quite popular in Thailand. So I think what a lot of people don't know is that something like, I want to say 20% of the land of Thailand's land is managed by their National Park Service. And those range from, Khao Yai National Park, which is huge, kind of up in the mountains. There are maritime parks that are on the beach or on the islands, and they're all kind of these protected areas, but you can go camping at them. There's also provincial level forest parks, which are basically what we would call state parks. They call them forest parks here. And camping is really great. In fact, you don't even really need your gear because you can just show up at a park. I mean, it's probably a better idea to call in advance, but they have gear that you can rent. They have tents and they have cots and they have cooking equipment and stuff that you can rent for just a couple dollars, actually. Camping at a national park is about 30 baht a night per person, which is about $1 a night per person. And it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. I've been twice now. It's a very accessible thing here. The campsites have very good facilities with, hot water showers, clean toilets. There's usually a shop where you can buy basic stuff, but they also usually have kind of a made-to-order restaurant where you can get like basil chicken and whatever. Just a little lady who just cooks whatever you want right there, at this little shop.
I do love that about Thailand is that every place has like a little old lady like making food for you.
But no, it's a really cool. Great thing. There's a ton of beautiful national parks in Thailand. Way up north, one place I've always wanted to go that I haven't yet is Doi Intanon, which is the tallest mountain in Thailand. And it gets really cold up there. And it's very popular in the winter. I've always wanted to go up there. You can wake up and see that sea of fog from the top.
I wish we would have planned a little better. We could have camped in Erawan. That would have been a lot of fun.
I imagine that here in Thailand, if you're going to a very famous national park, it might be difficult. Maybe if you're trying to go to Khao Yai, maybe if you're trying to go to Erawan, or maybe like Doi Intanon, you might want to get a reservation in advance. However, I've never had to. I've just shown up to national parks and national forests and just been like, hey, I want to camp. And it was great. So they didn't have like designated campsites either. They just had kind of just an area, and you could just pitch your tent wherever you want in that area as well.
See, I like that.
Yeah. And
because I don't want to camp on like a slab. I don't want.
No.
I hate that.
So it's really a lot of fun here. I'm actually trying to get away. If my wife can get some time off of work, I'm hoping we can go camping again before the year is over. But camping in Thailand is a great way to see a part of the country that you don't normally see,
Yeah, most people don't even think about it. You go to Thailand for the beaches or the city. You don't go for nature.
But yeah, I mean, you and I have been to a couple national parks. How many have we been to? 2 or 3? How many?
2.
2. Okay. Sayok,
we went to Erawan, which I cannot recommend enough. Erawan National Park is amazing. The hike up there is great.
It's got this 7-tiered waterfall, and you can hike all the way up that mountain that the waterfall comes down, and there's like a stop at every tier. And if you want to, you can go swimming. Now, we didn't do that, but you can.
But it's beautiful, and we only explored barely any of it. We spent a couple hours hiking up and then checking it out, and then we're on to the next place.
I'm sending you a link here. You can have a look at some of these. But I mean, we didn't see very much of them, and I think that it would be very cool to camp because then you have a lot more time to explore and to see a lot more. So these are our 20 best national parks in Thailand.
Khao Yai is number 1. Erawan's number 3. Very nice.
Erewhon's beautiful. Erewhon is one of my favorite places in Thailand.
And I know they have elephants and tigers, and it's beautiful. They have caves. That's cool. I like caves. I was thinking the other day, I really enjoy caves. I don't like mines.
Do you know? I've never been in a mine.
I don't know. I know they're very, like, when you're in them, it's like, they're the same, but I don't know. Something about a mine is much more precarious. Like, natural caves don't collapse very often. Mines collapse all the time.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes you dig too greedily and too deep and awaken something in the darkness.
Drums in the deep. See, I knew we'd bring it back to Lord of the Rings somehow. See, and I've been to very few beaches. I've been to Thailand
And I don't think you've been to any of the national park or maritime parks either.
No.
Because you can camp on them. Like, there are a lot of beaches that are maritime parks that are islands, and you can just pitch your tent, again, like 30 baht a night, and just camp on the beach.
See, these are beautiful. That's awesome.
It's a really cool way to see the nature, which I think is something that is not as well known because it's not as accessible in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, parks are not easy to get to. They're not.
No, they're not.
Like, you have to have a car, really.
What I do want to hear about just our listeners. What's camping like where you are?
Yeah. If you don't live in the U.S. or Thailand, write in and let us know about it. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our favorite segment, Adventures in the News. And this week, it is my turn. I've got an article from BBC Travel called How Boredom Can Inspire Adventure. And that actually ties right into us because that's really how we started this podcast.
Yes.
Humans can't stand being bored. Studies show we'll do just about anything to avoid it, from compulsive smartphone scrolling to giving ourselves electric shocks. And as emotions go, boredom is incredibly good at parting us from our money. We'll even try to buy our way out of the feeling with distractions like impulse shopping. But a much healthier way to deal with that is planning adventures. How has boredom inspired you to adventure, James? How has it gotten you out of a rut?
I feel like half of what I do is to avoid boredom.
Yeah.
I mean, I do plan a lot. I plan a lot of adventures. I spent probably a month planning our Japan trip that will happen eventually. Planning that sort of rekindled a love of exploring. I do plan a lot, actually. Whether I'll ever actually get to do these things or not, I do really like planning adventures. I've planned trips to Everest. I've planned, all these sorts of things that hopefully will happen one day, but maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is really good at sort of rekindling adventure spirit in you. And that's really interesting because I would say that planning it can almost be more effective than actually doing it.
You know what we ought to do? This is an idea. It's going to take some planning to make this work. We should plan an adventure for the other person. Like, I should plan an adventure for you.
Okay.
Like, we give each other 48 hours, do an adventure, and we can send each other an itinerary that they have to follow and see where it leads and see what they do. That's going to require some work. That could be a fun idea. That could be something to try.
That would be really fun.
Yeah.
We can do that. Let's start working on that.
Yeah.
Let's start planning that.
Let's work on that over the Christmas holiday. Like, work on how to plan that.
Yeah, what about you? What do you do to escape boredom?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's gotten harder and harder, actually, this year, especially just as we've been locked down, and I'm kind of getting to a point where I've seen quite a lot of Bangkok, and I find myself, even when I venture further afield to the more lesser-known neighborhoods, I find it harder to find places I haven't been before, and I find it harder to find new things. Obviously this podcast is something that really does help. This podcast has helped me escape boredom because it forces me to do something new every week, right? Like, I went to that Diwali festival because I knew I needed to do something new this week. Otherwise, I might not have made the trek all the way out there. I had to go all the way out to the river. I had to take the boat across the river to Thonburi and then go to the big shopping mall over there to get there. And it took about an hour or more to get out there. But it was worth it. So having this podcast as a way that forces me to do something adventurous each week has been really good. But planning trips, also, planning our Japan trip, like if they ever open their borders again, planning that Japan trip has been really exciting. And it's a good thing. Like, I think it's good to feel excited about something like that, even if you can't do it right now. And I agree with that. And I agree with this article about how boredom can spur you on to adventure.
Yeah, and planning adventures is way better than, like you say, impulse shopping, which I've been guilty of.
Yeah.
All that stuff, all the negative things that can come from boredom. And it's almost just, it's better to channel it. You channel boredom because, I mean, we've all been there sitting there scrolling through the same 5 things on our smartphone. I mean, every day. It's just a distraction. And I need to get better about channeling boredom into something more worthwhile. I'm not an artist. I wish I was.
Yeah.
But I'm not. But there are plenty of ways to channel the energy of boredom into doing things for this podcast, doing things for, I need to get back into my videography and things like that. Stuff that I've just been put on the back burner. You know, I have all the equipment. I just need to do it.
Yeah. I think that is a valuable use of time to create something. I always feel better when I am planning and doing something productive, but sometimes it's hard to do that. You ought to start planning a trip to Thailand. The borders have opened now, as of this month.
I do.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, plan a camping trip. Plan a trip here. Plan a trip up to like Doi Itnon, or check out what national parks you want to see. And we'll get there. It's been really a bummer. You know, these last 2 years are the 2 years that I'm working online. I was really hoping to have lots of guests because I have so much time.
I came 3 years in a row, and I was planning on coming like every year.
Yeah. We would welcome any time.
And then COVID and life, but I miss it up there. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you. Your support means the world to us, and we're back.
Yeah.
We are back again. You can reach us directly, hello@attemptedventure.com. Send us anything you want. Send us episode ideas. Send us your stories, pictures, videos. Do you want to be a guest? Do you know somebody that would make a good guest? Just get in contact with us. You can also visit our website, www.attemptedventure.com. There you can find blog posts, videos, all the episodes, little blurbs about the two of us if you want to know a little more information about the two of us. Links directly to our Instagram, to our YouTube channel, which will be back up and running.
Yeah.
Check us out wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
Please leave us a review. It helps a lot in getting us out there, getting us noticed.
And as we get to the end of the year, I want to propose, James, maybe no monthly challenges until New Year's, because life is going to be busy for us, it's busy for our listeners, and I just don't know if people would have time to do any challenges by the end of December. So what if we just say,
definitely
no monthly challenge this month, have adventures, do your thing, and we'll be back in January with more monthly challenges with season 2, which actually I'm very excited about. I feel like season 2 is going to be really cool because we have some ideas of things we wanted to implement for season 2.
You know, if you have any ideas for how the podcast, anything you want to see, any changes you want to see, definitely let us know. We are adapting and changing and improving however we can, and we want to make the best content that we possibly can.
We've really appreciated the feedback that we've gotten already. It's been great.
Again, I also want to send a big thank you to all our previous guests. If you're listening, we really do appreciate each and every one of you. If you want to be on again, all you got to do is let us know, and we will gladly have you on again.
Yeah.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you all again next week. Until next time,
keep adventuring.